Transform Our World, New Orleans.
Voice of the
Voice of
Kingdom.
the Kingdom.
Yes, I forgot I was supposed to be teaching tonight. Well, whatever. I was out there with Sean. Sean has come and finished the lights on this place. We have lights in the name of Jesus. We will be in more safety around here. Thank you, Sean. It blesses my heart so much to have people just, love me like that. It feels so good. Thank you. And thank you, Danielle. You always, if I say Sean's name, you're there too, always.
Right. Yeah.
My sweet Danielle. But I was, I think the heaviness of the crime, just kind of breaks my heart. And I think what breaks my heart so much is that I think for a long time, we hid our rage, in our families. And, some of us have had the opportunity to grow in families that didn't have that. But, if you were, hit as a child or, and you had rage in your family, or maybe you had a neighbor or a friend, or we saw rage like that. But today, it's like the rage is everywhere. And it's exactly kind of what we were doing a few minutes ago when we were singing Shalom. It's like, I know we all felt the peace of God. We were on one accord. It's always the one accord that brings down the spirit. And if it's two or if it's more, but in that, it's like there's no shalom. The rage has overridden it. Yeah. And, it's for me, it's like easy to say, okay, well, we know there's no consequences. The people act out. Your children will act out if there's no consequences. Everyone has to have some safety nets, some boundaries. And because we all get hurt in this world. And then, of course, we retaliate to ourselves or to other people until we can be loved through the healing. And it's like the rage of and the inconsideracy of not seeing beyond oneself. It like breaks my heart. Like it's like almost beyond me, because it's like one thing if it's every now and then, it's one thing, but when it is on such a massive level, it's very exhausting. Maybe because I can feel it, and I can feel the pain of the people. I can feel the pain of the city, and it's exhausting. It's like I'm not a scary person, but I think because I have that criminal background of being a criminal, I think like a criminal, which can be a true gift in the sense of like, I think about how to keep things safe and people safe because I care about them, and it's like when people don't have any consideration for another human being, it's like their rage from being neglected or abused from somebody in the world or something in the world or some institution. It's like right now, it's like being spewed out on anybody that comes close, that pokes it. Yeah. And I feel like it's like, what can we do to make a difference? It's like we had made such a great difference. Before COVID, we had done so much, and it's like something's got to be done, and probably, we'll be okay, but the people on our call and all that, but it's for the people around us, they're suffering. It just, I remember Punch saying you can't do anything if you don't feel what's happening, because then you don't even, how are you going to get an answer if you don't have if you don't have the heart for it.
Right.
And I think that's why I'm not like getting like 100% better, because I think that I don't think it's long COVID or whatever virus I stupidly had. I think it's the heaviness of the city and the pain of the city. I mean, my street's peaceful. I was out there today with Sean and see it, and it's very peaceful, but just right on the other side of the wall, people are dying, people are being murdered. And I mean, Rhonda's out there every week with the homeless. And I mean, I can't even imagine being in that heat 24 hours a day, that they're safer on the street than they are not on the street. Now that's sad, for people to feel that, to really believe that. That stuff has controlled them so much that they'll give it all up just to feel like they have freedom. So, things like reminds me at 6:15 I'm supposed to be teaching. I totally forgot. Sorry, guys. But, I know that's about God, that, I minister through my heart, and I think my heart is just broken for the city. And I just don't feel like I have a solution, I mean, I know prayer is a solution, but I know that there's a strategic plan that that I'm waiting for not just me, but for God to download to us, like to make a difference, And I mean, I was watching Benny Johnson's funeral yesterday. It was very powerful. And she just, she trusts the Lord. Like she would just say, trust God, And I do trust God. There's no doubt about that. It's like, if God puts this city, gives us this city and says, I want you to change it. I know I'm not alone. I know, every time I look at Facebook and I see something that Andy's doing, I get so excited, because he can reach people that we're not going to be able to reach. I love what Garrett's doing at the Urban Street. I mean, we have all these churches doing things, George Green. I mean, everybody's doing things. And, but I know that there's something that God's going to download to Voice of the Kingdom that is going to also really make a difference. And, I just think that, until you feel the pain of another person, and you can't feel it like they feel it, but if you have compassion, I think God will give us that solution, I just, it's like no one's talking about that 18 people have been shot on the interstate. Like that doesn't make sense to me. People are driving the interstate and there's people shooting them. Not everyone has died, but my God, can you imagine the terror of having that happen to you? And then the people that have died and no one's even talking about it. I mean, that's insanity. I'm not saying that they're not investigating. I'm not saying they might not have a serial killer. But I mean, my God, no one even knows about it. If you're not watching the news. And the people that have to go in the East every day to go to work or come out of there, that's terror. That's like being in a war zone. And I know our little children in the East are living a war zone. That's insanity to me. We're in America. This is America. I think my cry is for God really download us a solution. I mean, people are suffering. People are terrified.
Yes. Yes.
you know, I mean, Leon's got kids at school uptown, you know, gotta let your kids go. I might have to let my kid drive to Florida through the East, you know. I don't want my kid to drive. I'm not scared of him being at the beach. I was scared of him driving through the East. That's insanity. It's America. I can't imagine having to let your little child go to school. The last thing we seen was 19 children being murdered by another child. A child, an 18-year-old child. These are children. You know, I was thinking about Benny Johnson. They were talking about her, and they were talking about, you know, her thing was to bring heaven to earth. And boy, that's gotten lost, you know. And like Dean, we were, you know, we're in the process of really trying to brand ourselves, and not because we want to be branded. My God, I got a good life. I don't need to be on TV. I got wrinkles now. I would have liked to have done that when I'm in my 30s, you know. But, you know, so we can make a difference, so we can have a voice, you know, for the Lord, you know, in disguise, obviously, you know, so we can get out there and make a difference. And you know, I was thinking about, we were trying to, you know, how to do it, because, you know, you don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. That's not our world. And think about the, like, you know, how you're going to package this thing to, you know, get out there so we can truly have a voice in the city, you know, mainly. You have influence in some area, you can, you know, they'll listen to you, you know, when God gives us the solutions. You know, we can have a meeting with the mayor, we can have a meeting with the DA, whoever we need to have a meeting with, but you got to have some influence. They're just not going to let you in. So that's what this is about, you know, to try to, you know, figure all this out, and just praying about that, like, you know, just wanting to really have something to give. And it was like when they were talking about Benny, and like her legacy was that she prayed and she was real. You know, that was really the deal. She didn't get hooked into being a pastor's wife. She didn't get hooked into being, you know, whatever you have to be, some in the box. And you know, anybody knows me knows I don't have that problem, you know. And in that, it's like, as a team, you know, as voice of the kingdom. And I think I was talking to Moses today about that. I was telling him, you know, we have a testimony. I can tell him.
Sure.
Okay. We got a call from a friend of ours from Alabama when we lived there. His name is Bob Shotlander, and he's, you know, a lovely man. And they have 3 adopted children, and we had Moses, and 2 of theirs were from Russia, and we became friends when we lived in Alabama. And, you know, we haven't had a lot of contact over the last 15 years, but it's kind of, you know how that is when you move away and you talk to somebody or they call you. It's just like yesterday. Well, he called and left Dean a message, and they played phone tag a bit. And then he called again, and Dean got to talk to him. And we were concerned that maybe something unpleasant had happened, right? We just had Chuck. We just had Gavin, you know. So, you know, we were kind of bracing ourselves, and he tells Dean that he didn't really look at Facebook and all that a lot. And he was scrolling and saw something Dean had done. And then he went and looked at some of the different videos. And Dean had done an audio of praying for people's backs. And he said that he had back surgery 8 years ago, and he's in pain every day. And he listened to that, and God healed his back.
Come on, Jesus.
And I mean, it was like, tell us about it, you know. And he started telling Dean about it, and that, you know, he'd been in pain every day for 8 years, and he goes up to the altar and, you know, has been prayed over to where he just didn't want to go up there anymore. And through that process, he he listened to this, and how long's the video? Like 8 minutes or something?
It's no, it's only about 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
It was a video that I posted on the YouTube channel.
Right, but it doesn't have your face.
No, it just has my voice, and
it has a voice of the king. It's a voice of the kingdom.
And I felt inspired that something that goes on YouTube is there. It's evergreen. It's there forever, kind of thing. And so I said, well, if I have my faith put into this prayer,
right,
and then the Lord seems to use me to heal backs more than anything else, I said, I need to put that out for somebody and just see what the Lord does. And so that was a few months ago. And so this was the first testimony that came back, that he just happened to play it and he got totally healed and hasn't had any pain since then.
And he went to a Keith Urban concert, and he said, he was going to be sitting on these benches, with no back, you know what I'm saying, for like 3 hours, these aluminum benches. And he said, this is going to be the test. Like in his heart, he's like, this is going to be the test. And he gets, he sits there, and then after 3 hours, he gets up and he walks, and he's like, he has no pain. And he's walking to his car and he has no pain. And then that's what he called us, right? After, the next day after that. And it's like, I was telling Moses about it, because Moses knows Bob, and he was all excited, And I said, Moses, aren't you glad because me and Dean and Moses prayed about what was the name of this ministry. And Dean wanted to name it Christ Community Church. And we were like, no. And so we came up with Voice of the Kingdom. And Dean's picture is not on there. Like, you don't see his face. You just see this picture of the top of a church, and it says prayer for healing the backs. And I was like, Moses, this is it. This is the voice of the kingdom, that Dad's voice, God used Dad's voice. And Bob was healed. And it was like, we have to use our voice. I miss little Julie right now. I taught Julie about speaking, what you speak, how it's created, and she ran with that thing. And it's like, we got to get there, we got to really understand that it's our heart, it's our compassion, it's our love, and it's really the love of Jesus for the people. I mean, it's for all of us. We know Jesus loves us. They don't know it, but it's like his love that we have in us for them. It's the Romans 5:5. It's like his love. They said, take Jesus's faith. I always think about that. Like, for me, it's like, if I don't have enough faith for something, okay, whatever. But if I take the faith of Jesus, like, what did it take for Jesus to tell the Father yes, and to be completely neglected, abused, spit on by people that loved him the day before, and then hang on the cross without complaining, without lack of trust, believing that he would rise again? I mean, what kind of faith is that? That's the faith that I grab hold to. I grab his faith for life, to live on this earth, his faith to love my neighbor when they don't act right, his faith for my city that is not knowing how to love themselves and each other. It's like his faith on, my contractors and getting through this with our homes. It's like, as a small community that, it's his faith we have for each other and for our city and the surrounding, areas. I mean, when I say New Orleans, I mean all, what I mean, all of us, that we can't get caught up in the political, because I've never been political in my life, but we can't get caught up in that. We have to trust God in that he knows what he's doing, because, it's pretty scary to watch what's happening and to think that people won't be able to eat, or people won't have enough money to buy groceries for their children. People not have enough money to have gas to get where they need to get to work, to have money to feed their kids. I mean, that's a scary thought. That they won't have enough money to pay their electricity bill. I can't imagine living in a house without electricity. They don't have enough money to pay their flood insurance, like down in Homa, and their electricity bills are $500 and $600. I mean, they don't have that. I mean, how do you do that if you don't have it? So it's like, I really, having to trust God that what's happening is, as Ed says, is that God is shaking everything that is not of him. And it's getting exposed. And when things get exposed, the evil shows its face. Mm-hmm. Because that's one thing that the enemy doesn't like. It doesn't like to be exposed. We know it likes to be in the dark. It likes to be undercover, and it's getting exposed. And they're arrogant. A lot of the evil's arrogant enough right now to act like they don't care. And, as an individual, and then as a community like we have, we can't get afraid. We can't get afraid. We have to be strong in the faith that Jesus walked in, that he knows more than us, and that he's got this thing.
Yeah.
And if we spiritually come together, and I think that that's why we're on, Dean and I are very obedient to the Lord. If he tells us to get on this, we didn't just do it the first day. We prayed about it, that this is going to be very important to be able to connect with our people at any moment if we need to pray and do what we got to do, that we don't have to get in a car. We don't have to get through the east. We don't have to get wherever. We can push a button and be with each other immediately and do what needs to be done by having a voice, by praying, by believing, by having faith and taking authority. So, our brokenness, that's what I deal with. That's where my specialty is brokenness. If I have a client, I feel their brokenness. That's what I deal with. That's where my specialty is. Yeah, I feel it. And when I feel it, that means God's going to download the answer for my client, for my families, for my city, for my marriage, anything that's broken, for my family. I have had a hard time being physically with my family. And when I was watching Benny's funeral, his Bill's sister was up there, and she was saying about everybody's like, oh, the Johnson family, everybody's got, they got the perfect family. They got the perfect. She said, our family ain't perfect. She said, we have lots of issues. She said, don't think that we all get along. We all have our stuff. She said, but what we do is we love, we get hurt, and we forgive. We love, we get hurt, and we forgive. We love, we get hurt, and we forgive. And I thought, there's my answer. Because I think that there has been so much hurt that I hadn't been able to go back in. I forgive, but I hadn't been able to go back in with the love, because knowing that I'm going to get hurt again. And my fear is that I would cut them off, because, I have a part of me that just wants to cut you off. Not that in my heart, I don't cut you off in my heart, but as far as being face to face, just because there's been so many scars, it's like, do I have enough internal world to have another scar? Is there even any more room for another scar, but yes, because Jesus was scarred up pretty bad, and he came back and forgave and loved. Yeah. You have something?
Yeah, I was just reflecting on, when we talk about the body, we talk about our own bodies. And when we have our own bodies, when there's illness in a certain area of the body, it needs healing. And that the rest of the body actually gathers together in order to heal the broken part. So if I have something wrong with my leg, then the rest of the body that's working well actually sends the stuff to that part in my leg in order for it to be healed. And when you have a broken heart, when you have emotional wounding, it's always the first step of the healing process is grief, is pain, is expressing emotionally the pain that's in your heart. And I was just watching HollyKem as she was teaching that she's actually grieving the wound of our city. And on one level, our city is a body. We're part of a bigger body. If we imagine our city, our region is just one body, and we're all part of it, that there's different places that are really suffering. You know, there's different pockets. HollyKem talked about the East today. There's pockets where there's really lots of violence and a lot of pain going on. But it's the rest of the body's job to actually to send there what's needed in order for it to heal, because if it's neglected, it won't be healed. And so I was just really seeing that as you were doing that you're actually beginning the healing process of our city through your tears, and that our job is not to just stay cocooned in our safety, but actually to be intentional, either through our prayers, through our works, through our support, through whatever, is to be aware of the suffering parts of our body and to send it the attention that it needs in terms of taking responsibility. Because I think as I watch what's happening in our city, part of the problem is perpetuated because we separate ourselves from, as opposed to connecting ourselves to. And so why don't they just get their stuff together so that I'll be okay? Or why don't they get themselves together and I'll be okay? I'm not talking about taking over responsibility, but I am saying to take more responsibility than I'm probably taking. And to really realize that, you know, Paul talked about the body. When one part of the body's sick, the entire body's sick. And Jesus talked about that. And so that's our physical body. That's the body of Christ. But as members of a city and a region, that's another body that we need to have a heart for. And that when we are actually attuned, like HollyKem very much is, attuned to what's happening in the body, that's really the beginning. And I think that's what Pancho, when he had his breakthrough in Juarez, it was when he really took responsibility and said, you know, I have to love. Whatever I don't love, I cannot change. And so he had a heart of compassion. So yeah, it's beautiful. Well, when we do this, we'll open it up to we'll do an offering first, and then we'll open up the floor, and we'd love to hear y'all's reflection. So if you do want to give tonight, you can give to on Venmo, Voice of the Kingdom, or PayPal is I said pen pal, huh? PayPal is Voice of the Kingdom / New Orleans, or you can go to voiceofthekingdom.org and website, and we can give to that. Then we just bless the message that HollyKem released this evening. You know when she's releasing a message, it's going to be heavy and heartfelt. So she didn't disappoint us tonight. So it's sure appreciate that. But we want to bless those all of y'all, but also the seeds that you're giving into the work. And our work is about the transformation of New Orleans. So know that that's what that's going towards, and we bless that in Jesus' name.